Okay, now that I had my sip of coffee, I always wanted to do that because at one point before making this channel, I was like, let me go ahead and make an ASMR channel. But I didn't do that. I figured real estate was my calling, or I should say, a, mm, a different calling. I will put it that way. So I figured I have the mic, I might as well give it a shot. But other than that, let's get to it. If you never heard of a leasehold property, then this video is for you. There are so many people that dream of moving to paradise, and I want you to keep that dream alive. If you want it, you can get it. My goal here is to educate and inform you on the realities of the Hawaii market. So without further ado, what's up everybody? This is Chris Anderson again, and we are the real estate team right for you here in Oahu. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much. But if you want to know everything there is about Hawaii, then you definitely came to the right place. We will be doing tons of pros and cons videos about everything you need to know before making the move across the Pacific. So make sure to smash that subscribe button and click on that bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. What I like to say, if it's not a win-win, then there's no obligation. So if you want to get a hold of us, don't be afraid, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email, do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you get your answers or your questions answered. All right, now it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, Zillow. Now, don't get me wrong, as a realtor, I secretly love Zillow. Please do not tell any of my realtor friends, because it allows me the opportunity to peruse other markets without having to pick up the phone and speak to another agent. It gives me just enough information to make a somewhat educated decision. What I mean by this is that the information provided isn't always accurate or available. So when you call to speak with an agent, don't shoot the messenger. We don't make the rules. So what does it mean when it comes to land tenure in Hawaii? Well, to start, there are two types, and these two types are very different. You have fee simple and leasehold. Now, before I get into the differences, please note there is no right or wrong answer when it comes to your future investment. It really all depends on your long-term goals, and either option can be viable if it aligns with what you want and where you want to be in the future. Now, to the fun stuff. I will start with fee simple because it's the easiest and most common for the majority of buyers throughout the country. Fee simple properties simply mean that you, the buyer, own the unit and the land that it sits on. Leasehold properties, on the other hand, are unique and are only in a handful of states, Hawaii being one of them. The easiest way to explain what a leasehold property is this. With a leasehold property, you own the unit, but you do not own the land that it sits on. Therefore, you do have the ability to renovate or make certain improvements. However, when the lease expires, you may only have a few options depending on the situation. One, if the lease can be renegotiated, and this really depends how many years remain when you purchase the property, then you may have an opportunity to extend. Two, if the fee becomes available to purchase, then you can purchase a fee if you choose to. And to give you a very general price, this can be anywhere from $200,000 or more, at least from what I experienced. Now, this is not a blanket statement for all properties, and this is also not guaranteed when getting into a leasehold property. And three, if the fee is not available to purchase, or you choose not to purchase the fee, then you will need to forfeit the property when the lease expires. Everything reverts back to the owner to include any and all improvements. Some of the fees that you can expect with a leasehold property outside of the mortgage are as follows. Homeowner association fees or HOA fees, if applicable, maintenance fees, taxes, lease rent, and this is the rent that covers the rent of the land that your property sits on for the lease period. Now that I keep stumbling all over my words today, for example, if applicable, which is very hard to say, then I want to put it out there. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Please make sure to smash that subscribe button and click on that bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Hopefully, I quit tripping over my tongue for the rest of the video. No guarantees, just like leaseholds, but we will see. Now, in this video, I am not going to dive too deep into HOA or maintenance fees, so if this is something you want me to create a separate video on, please let me know in the comment section below. Now, what I do want to focus on is the lease rent. Again, think of this as you renting the land that your property sits on. For all of my analytical viewers out there that need some structure, as a very, very general rule, this is what I would say. Depending on the location and how many years remain on the lease, really dictates the price of the lease rent. However, this is not always the case. Sometimes, even as a realtor, I feel like there's no rhyme or reason. Every scenario is different, and that's just the reality of it. So to give you an idea of what you can expect on both the lower end and the higher end for lease rent, it can be as low as $1 per month. And no, this is not in conjunction with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. That in itself can be another future video. But anyway, on the high end of the spectrum, lease rent can be $2,500 or more. And remember, that is not including the maintenance fee or the mortgage if available. What I mean by this is to keep in mind that not all leasehold properties qualify for a mortgage. Like I've said before, it really depends how many years remain on the lease. So the question everyone asks me is, why would anyone want to purchase a leasehold property if there seems to be all of these never-ending fees? Well, if chosen properly, these units can be wonderful for investors, especially first-time investors, to get into the Hawaii market with low capital. If by chance the unit is approved for a short-term rental, then that is where investors can really increase their income exponentially. Now, the next category of leasehold buyers are on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, and those are lifestyle buyers. If someone comes to Hawaii multiple times or even months throughout the year but has no desire to own long-term in Hawaii, then a leasehold property is a very possible option. Instead of spending hundreds of dollars per night in a hotel or resort, the leasehold property may be a more economical option. To create an even bigger economical hack in the Hawaii real estate market is if this individual knows someone or another family that also visits Hawaii often, then the expenses can be split, saving even more money. Some other potential leasehold purchasers are seniors or even students attending university. For my military friends out there, if you decide that a leasehold property might be an option for you, just keep in mind that if you plan on using the VA loan, there must be a minimum of 35 years remaining on the lease. Otherwise, you will need to utilize a conventional loan, here's my favorite word, if applicable, again, depending how many years remain on the lease. Now, making the move across the Pacific is definitely a huge accomplishment for anyone. However, it can be a very different type of stress for my military friends. Depending on the market, it may take more than 30 days to get into a property, and if your command is not willing to extend your TLA, then you need to get into a property quick. So if you don't want to feel rushed into using your VA entitlement and feel stuck in a property that just to meet a deadline, but you also don't want to live on base or rent off base, essentially to pay for someone else's mortgage, then here is a possible scenario. First, I want to say that this is not my recommendation. This is simply a possible scenario that you can look into with your trusted lender and real estate agent. So the benefit of using a conventional loan, if there are fewer than 35 years remaining on the lease for a particular leasehold property, is you would only need a minimum of 3% down, and you would still have your VA entitlement. Remember, anything below 20% as a down payment with a conventional loan will incur PMI or property mortgage insurance. So please keep that in mind. So let's say you're stationed here in Oahu for the average time of 4 years. After 1 year of living in the leasehold property, you could potentially rent it out and purchase another unit in Hawaii that is more suitable to your wants and your needs as your primary residence. During your first year, and depending how you perceive a leasehold property, you aren't just throwing your money away. Now you actually have an opportunity to use this leasehold property as a rental to hopefully have positive cash flow while you live on island for the remaining 3 years that can help pay down either property, or you can use this additional money for future investments. So to ensure that I am providing the most transparent information possible, please, please, please note that leasehold properties typically do not earn equity because of the expiration date. As a reminder, this is a very general scenario, and depending on your income, your savings, your investments, your credit, your risk tolerance, the lender's requirements for each loan, and possible many other factors, this may or may not make sense for you and your situation, or you may not be comfortable taking the risk of not just one, but two properties at once later down the line. So regardless if you're military or not, some of the questions you'll want to consider in the beginning stages of possibly purchasing a leasehold property are: how many years remain on the lease? What is the monthly lease rent? What are the monthly HOA or association fees? When will the lease be renegotiated? Will the lease be renegotiated? Will the fee be available to purchase in the future? What is the potential rental income? These are just some of the many questions you do want to keep top of mind. So again, this is not my recommendation. This is just me thinking outside of the box. However, what I would recommend is to have an open conversation with your trusted lender, your real estate agent, and any other decision-making persons involved in the transaction of your short and long-term goals. So I feel like I got a little off topic there. So if you are completely lost in sauce, make sure to hit that like button. And if you enjoyed the hypothetical scenario, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to get through the end with me. And I am stoked to educate and provide exceptional service to exceptional people. Until next time, aloha.